I am a 22-year-old student from Finland. I'm a former UNESCO youth delegate for Finland, and I have been very active in the international education setting.
Hi, my name is Petr Franc. Whereas you are more engaged in the youth policy and the youth sector, I'm engaged in the student constituency and in the international student movement. I am a 20-year-old student currently pursuing degrees in philosophy, law, and international relations in Prague, and I am a board member at the Organizing Bureau of European School Student Unions, or OBSU.
Mm-hmm. And we originally actually have been in the same student organization when we were in high school.
Yes, so you also have a background
yes.
in the international student movement.
Yeah.
And we are at the Transforming Education Summit 2022, where we're trying to approach the global problems that are found within the education sector and sort of trying to relieve or soothe them, so to speak.
Mm-hmm. What has been your favorite discussion this far that you have taken part in?
I have to say that whether it be the summit or the pre-summit, the thing that I always enjoyed most were the interventions by Leonardo Garnier, who is the special advisor on education, because he also has a background in the student movement. He was engaged in it in the 70s, and it is clear that he also works with this theoretical groundwork of what it is that a social movement requires and what it is, because he was a part of one in the 70s. So that's also a part of what I try to do, because as people try to sort of add in the theoretical overarching theory to student and youth activism, they usually lean on the theories and the writings of Paulo Freire from the Pedagogy of the Oppressed, saying that to every action you have to have also reflection, because when we as student or youth activists, when we do merely action, it's just spontaneous eruptions of passion that aren't followed up on. Whereas when we merely reflect, I mean, we may just throw our hands away into armchairs and just await the judgment day. You have to have both action and reflection. So that's sort of what I'm trying to give to the student movement. This reflection, working on Habermas's social theory, trying to sort of look back on the legacy of the student movement and see how I can add to it as not just an activist but also an academic. So that's sort of a long-winded answer to what I like most, added onto with sort of what I also add or what I would like to add to it. So let me just throw that question back to you. What's your favorite part about the summit? What do you hope that it will achieve?
Well, I've taken part in mostly conversations about women and education and girls in education, and I think for me these are the most interesting themes. Also, I've written about this topic as a journalist before, and I think I've learned a lot about how COVID affected especially girls in education, and why was it especially girls that were affected. And I think these were all kind of aspects that I had not thought about before. Even there was a good talk about this by the education minister of Namibia, and she was telling that during COVID, when the schools closed, over 2,000 girls got pregnant during this time when they returned to school, and this was her example on why especially girls were affected when there's a crisis, and why in the future they're also going to be more affected if there's a crisis of some other kind, even in education. So I think that was a very, very good panel, and I look forward to taking part in more discussions about this topic. And yeah, I think this has been the most interesting for me this far.
Yeah, that totally is an important thing to take in mind, especially since not only with women, but crises like these that always impact marginalized communities the most. So thank you for the amazing work that you do. Maybe what I wonder is, what do you hope that what is sort of the follow-up? What do you hope that the young people retain in their minds, in their hearts, and in their strength. As a follow-up to this summit, what's next? Does it end with New York, or is there anything else on the road?
Yeah, I definitely don't think that it ends in New York, and I don't want it to. I think so many people that are here together with youth participants are doing so much good work locally in their own field. And for example, I really want to take all the things that I learned about women in education and all the effects of COVID crisis on girls and education, and then write about it when I go back and use kind of what I do to talk more and bring the conversation, because most people are not here with us, and this is information that I think everybody deserves to know. So I think I really want to take it from here and bring it to the world to see.
Hey,
what about you?
Thank you for putting the ball back in my court. Even though the youth and the students are separate constituencies, I hope that the youth declaration really serves the one that we declared together on this summit, which includes demands that are aimed at various stakeholders, especially heads of government and representatives of government. What are the demands of young people for education in the 21st century? I definitely hope that despite it being a youth declaration, a lot of national or local student movements will be able to use it, will be able to use it as a sort of a pressure tools to see this is what the global student and youth community has achieved. What are we doing about this? How are we doing the mise en oeuvre, the implementation, the really putting it into practice? So I think at the very least, this international and global experience may serve as something to be followed up on locally, regionally, and statewide. And I don't know. In this context, I'm sort of reminded by this one poem.
Yeah.
I'm sorry for doing these cultural references. People hate me for it. But there's one poem by an Irish author whose name I've managed to forget completely, but it's about the Republic of Conscience. And at the very end of this poem, it says that those who become the ambassadors of the Republic of Conscience are never to be relieved of their duty. And I think that is very much what the people that have attended this summit carry in their hearts. They carry a deep sense of responsibility of being the ambassadors of conscience, and they know that they will never be relieved of this duty. So I am confident that these sort of grassroots movements will be able to take what they learned, what they gained, put it into practice, and be loud, and be proud, and be provocative, and be willing to make the change that they want to see in the world. So I think on that, hopefully at least a little inspiring note, is there anything else you would like to add?
No, I think you put it really beautifully, and I also think to say that I think we're good examples of kind of you're 20, I'm 22, just not to remember to not let anybody tell you that you can't do anything because of your age or because you belong to minority or something like this. I think this is very important to remember, because I feel like we have all been in rooms where we feel like we're not heard or listened or understood. So I think that's something that I really empower people to do, to fight in those rooms, to get your voice heard and get, like you said, to get yourself a position to be an ambassador for what you believe in.
Amazing. Well, on that note, thank you for anybody who managed to join in. I hope this has been useful. Anybody feels like they can take up the duty of being the ambassador of the Republic of Conscience.
Yeah.
There always is a way, and there always is a venue to think about the world in such a way that you don't have to fall in despair. So just join the movement and be the change that you want to see in the world.
Exactly.